Pence ready to run. Fox News confirming he'll make the announcement next Wednesday in Iowa, where the first Republican contest happens. But he'll have even more company.
It's the same day North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is planning to announce, and the day after former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is set to announce. Just a couple of weeks ago, Pence allies began forming the super PAC Committed to America, signaling his intent to run. Earlier this year, Pence said his former boss endangered his family and everyone at the Capitol on January 6th, and that history will hold the former president accountable. Former President Trump is polling far ahead of every other Republican candidate, both declared and undeclared.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. A deal to raise the debt limit and limit spending is on the House floor, with congressional leaders urging passage.
Once this bill reaches the Senate, which I hope will be later this evening, the Senate will move quickly to pass the bill, send it to the president's desk, and put the awful and devastating risk of default behind us.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hoping the bill can overcome some bipartisan opposition. 2 abortion bans are struck down in Oklahoma, where the procedure remains illegal.
In a 6-3 decision, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled unconstitutional 2 abortion bans that require a medical emergency to save a mother's life before a doctor can perform an abortion, with exemptions for rape and incest, as well as a civil enforcement mechanism that allowed citizens to sue someone who helped perform an abortion. Though Oklahoma Attorney General Ginter Drummond saying in a statement that except for certain circumstances outlined in the statute, that abortion is still unlawful in the state of Oklahoma.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Stocks finish lower, the Dow down 131 at the closing bell. America is listening to Fox News.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better, night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
A gas station operator in South Carolina remains jailed, charged in the shooting death of a teenager.
Rick Chow has had his bond on a murder charge deferred until a circuit court judge can look further into the case. Chow is accused of killing Cyrus Carmack Belton, a 14-year-old whom Chow believed was stealing water bottles from his gas station store. Chow turned himself in Monday, one day following the incident. The Richland County Sheriff's Office says it has reviewed surveillance footage from the convenience store and determined the boy did not steal water. The sheriff is also providing protection for the store, which has become a looting target. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The mayor of San Clemente, California, says he hopes it's a wake-up call that 9 juveniles have been arrested for an assault on Marines. The suspects caught with the help of video footage.
The 3 Marines were surrounded at one point by dozens of teens. The city's mayor, Chris Duncan, told us it's tragic what happened, especially over the Memorial Day weekend. But there is some relief in the arrests.
Fox's Jeff Paul. Sheriff's officials say 5 teens facing felony assault charges were booked into juvenile hall. After surging for years, pay growth for CEOs is finally slowing down, though not by enough to silence critics.
The typical compensation package for chief executives who run S&P 500 companies increased just 0.9% last year to a median of $14.8 million, according to an Associated Press survey. The figure was the smallest increase since 2015 and comes after CEO pay surged 17% in 2021 when boards lavishly compensated executives for steering their companies through the pandemic-induced recession. Still, the figure isn't small change. To put it into perspective, it would take a worker 186 years to make that kind of dough.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois. Champaign-Urbana this Saturday had the warm weather pattern coupled with a little more humidity is into position. And with that and a couple of weak weather disturbances up aloft, we may manufacture, as was the case yesterday, a little and slightly better coverage on rainfall later on today. More so this afternoon. Again for the day tomorrow. Back into another extended spell of dry weather over the weekend into the first half of next week with temperatures flirting with a 90-degree mark before some cooling sets in from the north. The rain chance increasing to 40% as the day wears on. Partly sunny apart from a shower thunderstorm, especially this afternoon. Close to 90 the high, 66 on the low tonight, back up to around 90 tomorrow. Light south wind and the rain chance at 30%. Mostly sunny, hot, less humid weather at 91 on Friday, near 90 Saturday, and 89 on Sunday. Readings in the mid to upper 80s and more dry weather Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Soldier.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over!
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielema.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Smack dogs. Thunderstruck. Are you serious? Thunderstruck. Yeah, thunderstruck. I mean, are you serious? Thunderstruck. You're not going to sweep the Rays. Are you going to sweep the Rays, Kyle?
After getting swept by the Reds this weekend.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. Derek Piper will be here. Running a little late, stuck in rush hour traffic.
No one wants to hear from him today. Anyway,
no.
So there's nothing important going on.
No. You know, that's, I think he's playing hooky. He sent us a text about 250. It isn't 350 yet. And said, hey, I'm running late, 74, something on, I don't know if it was an accident, so I don't want to make light of it, obviously. But Derek not here yet, but he will be. And, I think he's playing hooky. Why? He doesn't want to talk anymore about Ray J. Dennis, Coleman Hawkins, or Terrence Shannon. He doesn't want to talk about it more than I don't want to listen to it. I'm done. I've checked out. I've checked out of it. I hope they're all here.
We're finally going to find out. Today, maybe?
Maybe?
I mean, can
Coleman's,
we count on that anymore?
Coleman's always been a guy I've really...
Today's the deadline.
Admired. Yeah, I mean, they've got to know by now. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
To 10:59 Central or whatever the exact deadline is, and then we'll get the Twitter posts.
Maybe it's maybe they're all three.
They're all going to do like a joint.
Yes.
We're all coming.
It's a text release at 5:02. Yeah, 5 o'clock tonight. Text release. The big three is two back, and then one. Who knows? It's interesting. I mean, Ray J's got to be here for the opener, right? For Illinois football against Toledo.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got he could throw out you don't throw out a first pitch. What do you do at a football game? He could be the captain. He could the
honorary captain.
Yeah, he
comes out.
Yes. Takes the seniors
the coin
out.
Toss,
yeah. There you go, Ray J. I've sweetened the pot. If you come to Illinois, we will make you the honorary captain of the football game. I have not checked with Brett Bielema on that. So I may be over my skis a little bit in terms of guaranteeing that, but we'll make it happen.
Coach Bielema.
Coach B, he's cool. He understands the recruiting game.
Yeah, he was at Wrigley last night, sung the seventh inning stretch. I tried to find it so we could play. It wasn't a great rendition.
Okay.
I have to say.
Well, listen,
it could use some work.
I would never badmouth somebody that sings, especially on national TV. There is not one reason that I would ever do something like that. No way. I've always thought, with a decent voice in terms of deep, et cetera, that I should be able to sing. I cannot carry a tune. And so I never will I say anything bad about somebody doing that. All right, let's get to the basketball side of things, and we'll dive more in when Derek gets here. I was looking today at Coleman and Shannon last year over their averages. What would you take? I mean, you wouldn't kick off a guy that's 27 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, right? How about that on a nightly basis? 27, 11, and 6. Well, that's exactly what that duo did together. And you would think that it would be better this year, especially Coleman scoring. I would assume Coleman's scoring would go up a little bit. That might affect his assists a little bit because he led. I think
get him a point guard, he won't have to.
But right, you don't have to worry about that
as much.
So maybe both of their assists come down a little bit, but I think both scoring goes up. Of course, Shannon was a first-team All Big Ten guy, so you know what you're getting in terms of him coming back. I think I had read an article from Derek or Jeremy that essentially said if those two come back, it's like going from ranked 51st in the country to like 25th. So that's the difference in this. All right, Piper has entered the building, so we're going to get his thoughts on basketball. But first, Kyle, Illinois football announced today. Well, a lot of teams announced today. It kind of came out the times of a few of these games, and I know Illinois has, 3 games or 4 or 5 now that we know the times, but definitely 3 at home, including a night game to begin things. So when Ray J's walking the captains out, it's going to be at night.
It is.
So that Toledo game's at 6:30?
6:30 Central against Toledo to open the season on September 2nd.
I mean, right off the bat, they're challenging us in the tailgate lots. I always look at a night game. Derek, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
I always look at a night game like they're challenging us. Like, let's see if the old people can hang for an entire day from 7 a.m. until kickoff at 6:30. Thus far, we've been able to do it, but the older I get, I don't know. I may have to get a nap in.
You've got a good undefeated record when it comes to that, being able to go the marathon. But, I mean, hey, you decide to show up at 7. I respect your commitment, but I think you'll find a way.
Okay.
Find a way to push through.
I think so.
You always got that first game excitement, and the adrenaline will carry you through.
That's true. That's a good point. So I'm good on that one.
As long as the heat doesn't knock you out. Because I've been in some openers that are like 80. I wouldn't say it's 90, but it can be hot out there.
It can be
in the old lots.
There's no doubt about it. So that's September 6th. Is the openers the 6th, Kyle?
The 2nd.
2nd, I'm sorry. And then Penn State would be game 3. That's right, because you go to Nebraska.
You go to
Kansas, which they're saying could be a Friday night game. Could be a Friday night game in Manhattan. No, gosh dang it, I'm getting this all wrong. In
Lawrence.
Lawrence, excuse me. Good Lord. All right, so then game 3, Penn State.
11 a.m.
Okay.
Big noon kickoff on Fox.
See, then they're challenging us again in the lots to get it done quick. So they're making us marathoners and sprinters right off the bat. And just to make sure that we can do both. And so far, we've been able to handle it.
And then they're throwing a Friday night game at you against Nebraska on October 6th, 7 o'clock.
Now, that one does toy with me more than anything because usually I'm doing this show until 5. So there's not a lot of damage.
You got to figure some things out.
Yeah, I can't do a lot of damage on that night, which is good. Now, the other game then that has been called is Purdue, I believe. Is that correct?
So a few of these games, Nebraska was the third one that they officially announced the time, that Friday night at 7. And then some of these other ones, they're giving you like multiple options.
Oh, that's right.
So like Purdue is either 2:30 or 6:30, but not decided.
So kind of prime time.
And then at Maryland is 11 a.m. or 2:30.
Okay.
That really narrows it down.
And those are on Fox now? Is that right?
You get the big noon kickoff is on Fox, so that 11 a.m. game is. You still have the ability to be on BTN.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
And then CBS is picking up Big Ten games, right, this year?
That's right. Now, what happened with NBC and Kevin Warren? Didn't he mess that up?
I don't know.
I was reading something.
NBC has the primetime Big Ten games this year, right?
Okay. I think Kevin Warren guaranteed that to NBC, and now it's costing every school money. I had read something like that. We need to effort that. We didn't. That happened during a stretch where we were like a weekend or something where we weren't on. But Kevin Warren did something dumb, which shocking.
It's shocking. I know it's easy to try to pile on Kevin. I'll give him. I'm caught in recruiting mode, of course, and you're trying to think of what can you throw at somebody to try to sway certain things.
That's fair.
To me, the NBC, the obvious thing that pops into mind for me is Notre Dame football. So I wondered if that was kind of a positioning move to say, let's get this thing done with NBC, try to promise them some of these prime times, and hey, there's a clear path for Notre Dame. Come play Ohio State in prime time. Come play Michigan in prime time. That kind of deal.
No, that's fair.
And maybe you sacrifice it on the front end where you don't make the same type of revenue, but if you get Notre Dame in that mix, bigger piece, I know they're going to want their piece of the pie and everything, but the TV dollars should be astronomical if you put them in the mix as well.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you did a really good job of defending Kevin right there.
Not my total intention, but
now that he's a Bear. Here we go. Now he's my guy. No, I'm kidding. But that does make sense. Can I say this, that in the end, I hope it ends up that Notre Dame needs the Big Ten, and the Big Ten says, no. We tried so many times to have you come aboard, and you were always a little bit too stuck up to do it. And now that you need us, guess what? We don't need you. That's what I literally hope it comes down to.
It would be comical. Now they could then just say, all right, we're going to the SEC.
Yeah?
I want to see them, though. The matchups and that whole kind of thing. I get you play kind of the stuck up, we're good enough to do it on our own type of thing, and then it works its way into that conflicts with them in future college football playoff scenarios, or if there are going to be a situation where the big conferences even break away from the NCAA. And I know that's a big thing that Notre Dame's got to have in the back of their mind is, what if the Big Ten and SEC say, we don't need everybody else, we got a big enough brand, big enough everything to go do this ourselves, and Notre Dame's kind of sitting out there without a home. So I get where you're coming from. I would still personally want to see them in the Big Ten, but
yeah, no, I get it. I grew up in an era not of total Notre Dame dominance, but I grew up essentially where they kind of controlled everything. They were the first team to have their own network essentially to cover just their games, right? And it was one of those where Notre Dame was still really good when I was young, but they weren't the dominant Notre Dame that they had been. And I'm talking about when I finally came to where I understood football, I understood the rankings, maybe like 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. And again, they've really had some good teams, and they had probably a couple national titles in there, but it was even earlier than that when they were like Ara Parseghian and some of these others that they just were so dominant and just coast to coast. Mm-hmm. And I think they've lost some luster on that, but it's still 100%. Notre Dame, right? And it's still something that just makes total sense for the Big Ten in the Midwest.
It does, and even into my era and Kyle's, obviously, you have even kind of more of a deterioration of that status of a top level program in terms of the results. Like,
no doubt,
they've been kind of a punching bag, maybe literally and almost in the joking sense of kind of what their performances have been in top level bowl games and college football playoffs. And outside of, for me, I'm trying to think, really outside of a year with Brady Quinn and Jeff Samardzija, that was a really, really good Notre Dame team. I know they had another one recently that went to the college football playoff, but they haven't been in a position to win a title. They've gone to a title game, but just haven't been super competitive on that final stage. So
in your era, they're more known as from Manti Te'o.
Manti Te'o,
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
honestly, that's the weird part.
There's that, and then with their NBC contract currently, like how many times they had some of the crossover with the Big Ten, which is cool. They play the USC game, which is always a big deal. But outside of that, I mean, they're going to play Air Force and Army, and they're going to play like Wake Forest every year and Duke, and half of their schedule is just it stinks.
Fluff.
Yeah.
But I get it too. To be able to play, well, don't they always play? Was it Wake? Who was the team they always? I'm thinking that. Nah, I'll think of it. I'll think of it as we go. It's a team that they're like out of the not out of the was it ACC? Like a Georgia Tech. Why can't I think of who they play every year? Not Pittsburgh. Do they play Pitt every year?
I'm trying to look up their schedule from last year.
Seems like Pitt. I don't know why.
They have been playing Clemson
Boston
recently.
College.
Yeah, Boston College.
Boston College. That's the school I cannot think of. I apologize for that. 1 minute of horrible radio while I tried to get my 52-year-old.
Boston College hasn't been anything since Matt Ryan.
No, you're right. I forgot Matt Ryan went there.
Yeah.
Turned into a pretty good quarterback. No doubt. Well, it'll be interesting. So we know some of the times. We know the openers at 6:30. We know the Penn State game, which would be the second home game, third week, will be at 11 a.m. And then there is a good chance Illinois could play 2 Friday night games, one at home and one on the road at Kansas. So, I mean, I get all that they have to do that for the Big Ten, but is there anybody in this room that enjoys the Friday night game? Do you?
Yeah.
You do enjoy it?
I do.
Okay. Do you, Kyle?
No. I'd much prefer it be Saturday.
I do too. I think it's the tradition of a Saturday game, but you don't mind it.
I don't.
You know, it does give you a Saturday off. Because like tailgating.
You get to sit back and watch all the games.
Right.
That are going on elsewhere.
I mean, let's be honest. Tailgating in Illinois football is almost like a job. It's like a 12-hour job. Now, it's fun. It's a job that I sign up for every year. I sign. In fact, I'm first in line. But it is funny when you're all of a sudden like, oh, I don't have to get up at the break of dawn on Saturday. I could go golf.
I enjoy the night games. Give me the night games regardless of how they're packaged or whatnot. I do, though, kind of selfishly for our standpoint, I'd rather be, if I'm going to go to the game, out in the tailgate lots a number of hours before. So if we're going to do a radio show, and I understand a lot of other people out there working during the day on Friday, that kind of really cuts into the whole experience. Then also those, I mean, I'd probably have a different position if my son was 16 years old instead of 1 year old.
Yep.
In terms of if he's playing under the lights Friday night football in high school. So I get the conflict all built into that, but if it's a big enough game, like if Illinois is able to beat Toledo, obviously Kansas, and that would then bring in Penn State, right?
That'd be
if
huge.
they're 3-0, you got Matt Rule's Nebraska coming to town. Those that don't have like crazy committed conflicts, they're going to find a way.
They are
take an afternoon off. You're going to be able to fill that stadium, and I just feel like a big game under the lights, if it can be, is always a great experience there at Memorial Stadium.
That is cool. That is a great way to put it, because Memorial Stadium at night is awesome. It really is. I never played football. Neither of my boys played football. So I don't run into that issue, but you guys know me from baseball and basketball. I hate missing one game. So if Andrew decided to play football, then I wouldn't go to the Illinois game. It's just that simple. I'd have to tape it and watch it later, and I get that for parents that have football players, and we have tons of them around our area, obviously. So, all right, that's the football side of things. We need to regurgitate everything we know about the basketball side of things in this next segment. I guess if anybody has any kind of new touch to this, weigh in on the U of I Illini Link text line at 359-2255. I did put their stats together. I don't know if you heard that on your way in.
I didn't know.
So I put the stats from last year together, and essentially you'd be getting 27 points, 11 boards, 6 assists out of those guys. Now, that would be one hell of a one
out
player.
Of Terrence and Coleman?
Yeah, because Terrence averaged 17. Actually, I think it's closer to like 28 points, because I think he was 17.7, those decimal things. And then Coleman was 9.9, so 10. And then they together shared 6 assists a game and 11 rebounds. So that's a pretty good and you figure that'll go up, right? You figure if they get Ray J, the assists will come down maybe a little bit. And it sounds like the NBA wants Coleman Hawkins to shoot. So those assists may come down anyway. It might just be, hey, Coleman, quit being so unselfish and shoot the ball. Show us that you can score. Show us that you can score 14 a game. Go do it, and do it more often. And then I would assume Terrence Shannon, especially if you get him a point guard, that 17 or 18 points a game could go up over 20.
It could, yeah.
When's the last – did Io average over 20? Did Kofi average?
Kofi did. Kofi was a 20-point guy and a little bit over if you go decimal-wise. I think Io was
close
at or very darn near 20.
Okay.
20.1.
20.1.
For Io?
Yep.
What was Kofi? Kofi 21, maybe?
It's amazing just how good those guys were.
Yeah.
I mean, Illinois doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of guys in the past that have averaged 20 points a game.
20.9 for Kofi.
Okay. That's impressive. I don't know how easy it would be to find Illinois players that averaged over 20 a game. Now, some of them, you look back at like that 05 and 89 team, there was so much talent on that team that you kind of had to spread it around.
Mm-hmm.
Just by accident. You had to get Raj 10 points a game. You had to get Luther 14 points a game. I'm making these up. D's going to get you 16 or whatever. Darren's going to get you 16. I mean, so you kind of spread all that. Augie. And so, if one of those guys, for instance, on that team, as talented as all those guys were, either in 89 or 05, they could have just easily been over 20 if it was just everything for them. But you were better off having the depth and obviously having more guys in double figures.
Was Dion a 20-point-a-game guy?
Yes. Dion would have been. I think Manny Jackson, right, back in the day. Governor Vaughn, I think he was 20 guy. Was, boy, I get in trouble doing this. Was Kendall or Nick one of those years a 20 guy?
Maybe Kendall once those others were gone.
I think so.
Ken Norman, was he a 20 guy?
Yeah, the Snake probably was. Yeah, he probably was. That's a good call. Again,
if not pretty close.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you keep going back. I think
Weatherspoon,
Dave Downey, Weatherspoon. Yeah, no doubt. Dave Downey was probably. I mean, hell, he scored 60 in one game or 59 or whatever. That surely that led to a 20-point average, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, there have been no doubt some.
Victor Chukudebe.
Oh yeah. He and Kevin Turner. Kevin Turner averaged.
Victor might have had 20 points in a season.
Chukudebe.
Fun name, though.
It was a fun name. That was crazy. Victor Chukudebe from Springfield?
Is that where he's from?
I think so. He was either Springfield or Peoria. I think it's Springfield. That's interesting. All right, so when we come back, we'll talk a little bit of – I know you – can we just full transparency, do you know anything more today than you did yesterday?
A little bit.
Okay. That's all I needed to tease it. That's all I needed. Derek Piper knows a little bit more about this
I was convincing, wasn't I? I'm not promising, not over-promising. I thought we'd have one of these decisions in. I thought that Terrence would have decided by now.
I
but
agree.
He's keeping us waiting. And I had to kind of along that line, in that theme, I had to stall by not showing up on time to the show. So
gotcha.
Because that's just kind of what we're doing. We're just stalling.
Yeah.
Today.
I mean, that's kind of, yeah. We don't have golf to talk about.
We don't.
That's a bummer. Florida State got beat by Florida, and then Georgia Tech is in the final. Georgia Tech.
The Fighting Jarrett Jacks.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was.
He was really good for Georgia Tech. Of course, I remember him more of the Dennis Scott, Mark Price. Illinois and Georgia Tech ran into each other quite a bit back in that era. That Mark Price, and then like North Carolina with J.R. Reed. When Illinois was really good, but I guess that would have been in the 80s, right? You ran into Mark Price, Dennis Scott, and those guys quite a bit, and they were really good. Georgia Tech was really good. But Illinois usually got the better of them, I believe. All right, we'll take a break. 359-2255. If you want to weigh in, 217-359-2255. That's the U of I Line Lake text line. I will tell you this, Matt Pauley, you hear his voice, if you're especially a Cardinals fan, you hear it on the pregame and postgame right here on this station for Cardinals baseball, and he now is the host of Sports Open Line at KMOX down in St. Louis. Matt has never been with us on our show, but he was excited to know that I was reaching out to him today. So he's going to join us at 4:20 to talk a little bit about the Cardinals, who I heard Stevie say this morning, and I didn't have a chance to weigh in, but I think he's right. I don't ever remember 2 days off in a row for a baseball team. And the Cardinals have the next 2 days off. Do the Cubs, do they have that craziness? Do you know later this year the Cardinals will play the Royals on a Friday and a Saturday and be off on a Sunday? Now, I've never seen
weird,
that.
No.
Unless it rained out or something, or like 9/11, like it had to be some crazy circumstance. But this season, the Cardinals, of course, just played 19 games, And now they're off today and they're off tomorrow. Back-to-back days off. And then later this season, I believe it's in August, they're in Tampa for 3 games in the middle of the week. I may be gone, by the way, from the show. And then they play the Royals on a Friday in Kansas City, the Royals on a Saturday in Kansas City, off Sunday. It's
weird.
Crazy. It's really weird.
Can't remember that at all.
Really weird. So we'll talk to Matt Pauley a little bit about that and just about the Cardinals in general. They're doing a lot better than what they were to start the season, but they're still not tearing it up by any. Nobody is in that division, so that's the good news. But we will talk to Matt on the Tapman's Towing phone line. We'll do that next hour. All right, let's get this thing heated up. Let's get a little bit of extra knowledge from Derek Piper on the situation with Coleman, Terrence, and Ray J. Dennis. Will do that next. It is The Drive.
Doing it yourself gets a whole lot easier when you rent the right tools and equipment from Paxton Hardware and Rental. Whether you're a weekend fixer-upper or a professional contractor, they have just what you need to get the job done right the first time at Paxton Hardware and Rental. From lawn aerators to tillers to pressure washers and floor sanders, you'll find the tools for project success. Need project advice? Just ask one of the in-store experts. Need bouncy houses for less? It's Paxton Hardware and Rental on Market Street in downtown Paxton. Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford is more than just a steakhouse. Every Wednesday and Thursday nights, only at Long Branch, fresh country fried chicken, fresh country fried pork, both served with mashed potatoes and green beans. The kebabs are delicious, made with your choice of chicken, shrimp, beef, veggies, or surf and turf. All entrees come with a house salad and your choice of one of 2 sides. Wednesday and Thursday evenings starting at 5. And enjoy Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford. Coming June 1st, it's the World of Outlaws Farmer City Showdown at Farmer City Raceway. The World of Outlaws Case the Late Models will battle it out for the checkered flag to win $10,000. On June 1st, gates open at 3. The Farmer City Showdown is the first in a series of 3 races as we bring in June. And there's special options and prices. If you get your ticket in advance, you can save $5 on reserved seats and general admission. Kids only $10. This special event schedule has the pit gates opening at 1, gates at 3, with hot laps at 6:30. Get in on the excitement and ground-pounding action. Get all the details at FarmerCityRacing.com. Reach out on social media, #Friday Night Lights. Experience the excitement of the racing with the sprint and late model cars with the World of Outlaws June 1st at Farmer City Raceway. Buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The doggy bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The doggy bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a doggy bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit BulldoggyBag.com.
That's BulldoggyBag.com.
Hello, golfers! The Special Olympics Illinois Region I Golf Outing is Friday, August 4th, and we want you to join us. Registration and lunch is at 11 a.m. Shotgun start is at noon. There's free Riggs beer throughout the event, golfer games out on the course led by athlete Emerson York. Appetizers from the Roadshow Catering and cash awards for team prizes are immediately following. For details, visit SOILL.org.
Join Cunningham Children's Home June 2nd and 3rd for the 19th Annual Festival of Quilts. It's a great event and you don't want to miss it. Whether in person or online, enjoy all the festival has to offer, including the quilt auction, the gift shop and boutique, home decor, bake sale, campus tours, and more. Proceeds from the signature fundraiser will help us to meet the critical needs of the youth and families Cunningham served this year. That's the Festival of Quilts, June 2nd and 3rd. Visit cunninghamhome.org to learn more.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Sit back and relax and take the drive with Lonte and Derek Piper. Weekdays 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Well, when you think of game day spirit, you think Scorpions. I don't think there's any doubt. That's what everybody out there, as soon as you heard the zoo pop on, you're like, you know where I need to go? Game day spirit. Because that store is awesome, and they give you 2 places to go. Kyle, you could take advantage of this. Not as many kids on campus in the summer, so you could hit Game Day Spirit there on Green Street. Check it out. Game Day Spirit also on Neal Street, GameDaySpirit.com. Everything you need when it comes to Illini gear. We were just talking about the tailgates and such. I am in need, and I have to hit the store here in the next couple of weeks, but I am in need of some new summer Illini gear, like a nice T-shirt. My son has Andrew's got 15,000 Illinois shirts, and I'm like, do you live at Game Day Spirit? I mean, he's got them. It's nonstop. But I think they order online, too, is the key. And
GameDaySpirit.com.
That's it. So you can do that. But I need a nice T-shirt, and then I would love an Illini golf polo because I've kind of outgrown the other one. You know, I guess it shrunk. That would be my only
Left
guess.
in the dryer too long.
Right. It has to be that, not the other way around, not me gaining weight. All right, here we go. Kyle, anything new before I get the new from Derek? Did you hear anything?
What do you got, Kyle?
Did you hear anything on campus today about Shannon or Coleman? Or
no, I did not.
Did you spot Coleman at Joe's? Or
I wish.
I'm not inferring that he goes to Joe's. I don't know. I assume he might on occasion.
That's where I met my wife. It's a good place to go.
That's right. So, what's the little bit of knowledge?
That was it. That I met my wife at Joe's.
And because of that, Coleman and Shannon are coming back to school.
There you have it. Coleman's in Memphis, actually. Worked out for the Grizzlies yesterday.
Okay.
Still thinking things over. As of this afternoon, still framed as a 50-50 decision. He's having a lot of fun on Twitter right now, if you've been following along. He just tweeted a couple of minutes ago, I'm about to take like a 7-hour nap. So if that gives any indication, he's playing with people, obviously, but also I do think that it is going to be.
I love that kid. I truly do. I love that kid.
He's had fun with people. He also threw out someone asked him, what is he going to do? And he said, transfer to Michigan.
Right.
It's hilarious. But I do think that in terms of the timing of it, it is going to be tonight for Coleman. I think it's going to go all the way up to the deadline. Him and his dad still have a lot to figure out, and it's a tough decision for him. We've been over this, and look, it feels for me like the Twilight Zone meets Groundhog Day. Like it's never ending. It's the same stuff. Now with Ray J. Dennis, it hasn't been the same because a lot of things have changed. There's been a lot of moving pieces to the whole type of deal. But with Coleman, he has a lot of interest from a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm.
He's already worked out for 5, I believe. Wow. And his dad told me that if he does stay in, there's 8 other teams that have said, if you're not pulling out of the draft, we also want to bring you in for a workout. So you almost have essentially a third of the NBA plus some change want to see Coleman Hawkins work out for them in person. Now then you have to try to figure out the interest, how many teams are interested versus how many teams would actually want to draft me. Where am I going to get drafted? What's that situation look like? There is the understanding that, I could be on a 2-way deal, which is decent compensation. I'd take $500,000 a year to go play basketball, but there's less. It's a non-guaranteed deal, and it's kind of a flyer essentially for him. If it doesn't work out, if they don't see what they want early on, they can cut ties, and Coleman's not going to say just completely going to be out of the league, but he could be in a tougher situation. Probably going to have to play some G League next year, if not an entire season in the G League. So that's something he's got to really evaluate versus going back to Illinois, where he can potentially elevate his stock. And that's not a guarantee. I know it's easy for us and others out there to say, if he comes back, he'll be a first-round pick.
Right.
He'd have to do things with his game, consistency, decision-making, three-point shooting to make that a reality. People have gone back to school and hurt their stock, or just gone back and they're pretty much the same player coming out the next year. So I think that in his gut he wants to go, but his dad is advising him. I think his dad, as I said yesterday, I think if it was up to him, he'd probably tell Coleman to go back to school. And they're continuing to have conversations with people around the league and also with Brad Underwood and people back at Illinois. So that's kind of the latest on Coleman. And in the meantime, he's having fun playing with people on social media.
We poke fun at this, right? We've had fun with it because we've waited forever to find this out. And I think that's okay that we have a little fun with this. But when you do sit down and look at the absolute huge decision that you've got a young man making, and then you think about the parents. And I don't know if with Cade being under 1 year, is he one yet?
He's one.
Oh, that's right, he's one. I don't know if you can fast forward to the idea of, all right, he's now 18 years old, and he's making a college decision, or he's 20 years old and he's making a decision whether to go to the league. It's a little easier for me because I've got boys right around kind of that age, if you will. In fact, Lucas is 23, right? So, I mean, he would be right there in that range. So the other day, I literally was like, I can't imagine if, like, putting Lucas, let's say, into Coleman's spot here, even though he's already graduated, but you get the point. Like, and then him coming to me and saying, what do you think, Dad? And that would be hard. I mean, it would be hard because you understand that if you give the final say and you feel like they want an answer out of you, right? They want you to commit one way or the other. But they're also going to take a lot of stock in that with you being the parent, you as the parent wanting nothing but the best for your children. But yet, am I, as a dad then, comfortable with saying, no, you definitely need to do this? I'll be honest with you. If I were a father of Coleman Hawkins or TJ or Terrence Shannon, I think I would take the easy way out and say go back to college. Because I know, A, there's going to be money there. B, they can certainly hurt their stock. There's no doubt. If Coleman comes back and does kind of the same season he had this year, then you may
gets hurt.
NBA teams may be sitting there going, well, hold on. You know, he hasn't really gotten any better. So that tells me that with everything on the line, he didn't improve at all. So I don't think we want to take a chance with him. But certainly the money now in college with the NIL makes a factor for this decision. Now, if that wasn't there, and I asked you about that the other day, what would I tell my boys then? I don't know. That would maybe change it to where I'd say, look, if you've got a chance to go make $300,000, and then worst case scenario, you end up in Iceland next year playing and making $300,000, that's still a lot of money. You can still make, you can still have a pretty good career. I mean, I'd love for any one of my child to come out of college making $300,000. That'd be wonderful. But I think with the NIL, honestly, Derek, as a dad, I think I would advise them to come back to school because there's just, to me, that's the safety net. There's a net in that decision. If you fail or fall, there's a net there in terms of you're still getting paid to go to college and you have the chance to win a lot of games and boost your stock for next year's draft. If you go the other way, there's not necessarily a net. And you just mentioned it. If they're playing for someone and they get cut and they're like, no, we just don't think you're cutting it. So now what do you do? Now you got to wait a cycle or so to get on with some international team, or like you said, the G League. Hasn't Georgie essentially been toiling in the G League for a while?
Yes.
So he's continued to go that path, whereas a guy like Kofi just kind of went the overseas path. I don't even know, would Kofi have played in the G League? Could he play in the G League?
I think that he might have been able to get an opportunity. It was not necessarily a guarantee.
Okay.
There was more money for him to go overseas versus just sign a straight-up G League contract. And I think it became increasingly clear that the interest in him at the NBA level was fairly minimal.
Okay, that's fair. So I think in my long diatribe there, as a parent, I'm trying to look at it that direction, and essentially I'm trying to bring some seriousness to it. I mean, this is huge decisions for these two guys, and I think as a parent, as a dad, I think I would advise back to college because to me that's more of a win-win than a major loss.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does provide, like you said, a safety net. It allows you to be more patient with the NIL situation and everything. And I think from Coleman, I kind of see it as Coleman and Terrence being in different boats. Not that Terrence can't come back and improve his stock, but just he's probably looked at as more of a known commodity.
That's a good point.
He's going to be 24 years old by next year's draft, and the league might say, we know who he is. He started darn near 100 games in college. He's going to turn 23 this summer. And, yeah, he can go back and improve his three-point shooting, improve the right hand a little bit, and that's all great. I do think that there's something to be said. If he's an All-American type player, which he sure looked like it early in last season when he was doing what he was doing against UCLA and overtime against Texas, then he can have a better position a year from now. But with Coleman, he's 21 years old versus Terrence is going to be 23. He's been a full-time starter one season in his career. Terrence has already started like 3 full seasons in college. So there's a little bit of a difference. I just look at Coleman as more of a prospect than where Terrence is more of kind of, you know who Terrence Shannon is. I think Coleman has more of that wiggle room to go up potentially by coming back. So if I was in the position of trying to advise Coleman, I would say I just see so much growth potential for you if you go back to Illinois and shoot 35% from 3 and make sure you're not turning the ball over as much. And like you've talked about and we've talked about, be more aggressive to where the NBA wants to see you shoot open shots. They don't want a guy who looks like he lacks confidence or capability when he's open. I think it's great that Coleman is an unselfish player and you have a game where you can rack up a triple-double against Syracuse, but let's be honest, there were a lot of times where the whole crowd was screaming at him. You had 15,000 screaming at you because he turned around from 10 to 12 feet and he was wide open. He didn't want to shoot it.
No.
So that sends off a little bit of a red flag. I think it's interesting from his dad's standpoint, and I do think it's evolved a little bit, where going into the combine, I think Coleman was pretty dead set and dug in on, I really want to stay in. Okay. I want to stay in the draft. That's what my gut tells me. My dream is just an arm's length away. I can get drafted, hear my name called, go live a professional basketball life, and that's that. I'm ready to chase that. Now I think he's a little bit more open-minded about what that looks like. So if you're his dad and you have more insight into this than me, you've had more father-son sit-downs where my son doesn't listen to me as much right now and being 1 year old.
My loser kids aren't playing in the NBA. It's just that simple.
Right, but like just in general with anything, you can tell when their mind's made up on something.
Yeah, that's true.
And you kind of don't want to. I don't think Coleman's dad wants to step on Coleman's dream too much. If he is,
that's fair.
Feels like he's made a thorough process. He's making a level-headed decision. He's all in on that. I don't think his dad wants to step on that.
And I think as a parent, a parent, you definitely then back them 100%.
Right. If he is legitimately, which I think more so now, asking for advice, asking for feedback, then you can weigh in and make that more known and feel more comfortable about that. So I think that's kind of where we're at. And maybe the late swing of things is his dad, Rod, saying, I think that going back to Illinois is the best thing, and maybe that's what happens at 10 p.m. tonight or whatnot. But it is great for Coleman at the bottom. However, I know that a lot of people have opinions on what he should do. A lot of people are saying he should come back, but it's great that he has this opportunity to make this decision. And I think no one can fault him and say, hey, he was just a knee jerk. Right. As soon as the NBA opportunity was there, he was gone.
No doubt.
He's going through this very thoroughly, and we'll see what he says tonight.
I think this entire time, can I just say this? Then we got to catch a break, and when we come back, I want to ask Kyle and you what importance you would put on the 3 guys. Like, give me the guy that you definitely want back more than any of the 3. That's dangerous, and I don't mean to pit each other against, Coleman against Shannon or against Ray J or whatever, but I want to get your opinion as to what you think would be the most important for this team. But Coleman, throughout this entire process, and it's part of who he is on the social media. He's really fun. He's really good with that. I get the sense, especially today, with the little cracks of I'm going to Michigan and this and that, I just always have gotten the sense that he's going to end up back in an Illini uniform because he continues to do his part to support this university and his program. And I just feel like he just kind of has fun with that. And I could see him doing that for another year. I really, really could. All right, when we come back, I'm putting you guys on the spot. You got to, in order, tell me who you would want back. or on the team. Ray J wouldn't be back, but he'd be on the team. Of those three, I want to do that next. 359-2255. If you'd like to weigh in, it is the drive.
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience. Several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family-owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business. Imagine you're in the south of France in October when the temperature will be 70. Hi, it's Stevie J, and it's time to travel. Join Larry and Elena Canfer for their off-the-beaten path to the south of France and Italy, September 29th through October 9th. The south of France is noted for its Mediterranean lifestyle and unique artists like Van Gogh, Picasso, and Chagall. They'll go off the beaten path to explore picturesque villages and seaside towns. You'll enjoy delicious meals with the greatest olive oil and wine. Then you'll go east to Milan, the Italian city of design and fashion and Ferraris. Again, the trip leaves from Champaign September 29th and goes through October 9th, non-stop flights both ways. It's the south of France and Milan, Italy with Larry and Elena Canfer. For complete details and to sign up, go to StevieJTravel.com. That's StevieJayTravel.com. Stevie J Travel. Where do you want to go?
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business, as well as Central Illinois employees dedicated to providing you with professional installation and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
When you're looking for a business to work with, you choose someone local, someone who's terrific at what they do. A company that helps others in need in Champaign-Urbana, and a company that stands behind what they do. That company is Roof Doctors. Roof Doctors has been keeping the rain out for over 30 years. Randy and Tammy and their family work hard to not only make sure you're 100% satisfied by their work, but that they also strive to have a positive impact on Champaign-Urbana. Roof Doctors in Urbana, they make you their number one priority.
You've changed thousands of diapers, played hours of peekaboo and duck duck goose because you'd do anything for your kids. That's why it's so important to protect them with life insurance from State Farm. State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow will help make it easy and affordable to help you protect your family no matter what the future holds. Because for the people you do anything for, life insurance could mean everything. Call State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow in Champaign-Urbana today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, U of I Illini Link text line. We've got a 317 that says Shannon for sure. He would be the main dude out of Terrence Shannon, Coleman Hawkins, Ray J. Dennis that they would like back. Marcus, longtime listener of our show in Colorado, the big state. He says Ray J 1, we need a point guard. Coleman Hawkins 2, he can't replace his length and defense. And then Terrence Shannon Jr. 3rd, who, by the way, was the first team all Big Tenner. So interesting, but I'm not going to downplay anybody that has their particular order because the three of us may have different orders. I don't know. I'll give Derek a break and go with Kyle first. That's always fair, right? Put the throw the intern under the bus. Are you even an intern now? You work here now.
This summer I'm working
You're an employee.
Here.
So, yeah. He's gained
coming up in the world.
Gained a little clout. All right, Kyle. 1, 2, 3. You want to go in reverse order? Like
I'll just go down 1, 2, 3.
Okay. You don't want to make it fancy like a draft or anything. All right, who's your most important out of those three back?
I'm with the 317. I think it's Shannon.
Okay.
I think it's just so important to have that go-to scorer.
Who could be your dog?
Who could be your dog,
yeah, I
who
agree.
you can give the ball too late. I mean, we saw it. How many times did we see it this year against UCLA, Northwestern, Michigan? Give him the ball, he gets to the bucket, and he puts you on his back. And I just don't think the other two guys can do that. And I think if Shannon doesn't come back, you're going to be searching for that go-to guy late in games and that star go-to scorer. And I think guy was first team all Big Ten last year. In year 2 in Underwood's system and here in Illinois as a fifth-year senior, I think he could be pushing All-American status if he improves enough on a few things. So I think he's the most important. Number 2, I think it is Ray J.
Okay.
Because I just think having that point guard, and I know there'd be some other options maybe in the grad transfer route without him, but you're not going to do better than him in terms of getting your point guard. And that's not to say that Coleman
Yeah, this doesn't mean you don't want Coleman back. It's just I've asked you an impossible question.
I just think
somebody tweet this at Coleman and let this be part of his Twitter rampage today.
Well, he's sleeping.
That's right. He's sleeping.
He's sleeping for 7 hour nap. Yeah. Okay, and Coleman 3.
Coleman 3, but Coleman's still extremely important.
Hey, you put out valid reasons for having that order. Incidentally, that would be my order as well. They all can bring you something that the other maybe doesn't give you, right? Well, no, for sure. I mean, Coleman has the length. He led the team in rebounding last year. He also can pass the ball, as we talked about. And he's a smart player. I mean, I think, and number one, I think he's good for the team, right? He's one of those guys that is good for the team, whereas Shannon may be the dog. Coleman is kind of that leader that kind of keeps everybody where they're at. I need a point guard. And that's why I would put Ray J too. But also, I don't, like Kyle said, Derek, and I'll let you have the last word, I also don't know who else on this team can go out and get you 20 points consistently like a Terrence Shannon can. And you need that. If you're going to play where Illinois wants to play, you need that aspect. So I turn it over to you, Derek Piper.
I think you guys have it right.
Okay.
Now, there is a little bit of hesitation because I'm with Marcus, like, where's the point guard on this roster?
Good point.
And it's such an important position. We just come off the year that Illinois had last season, and we saw what happens when you have not a legit playmaker, have inexperience at that position. Look right now, who would be your point guard? I know it's not done after today in terms of your roster building. Is Ty Rodgers your starting point guard? You have Moretti, you have Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, Justin Harmon can play a little bit, but that's a big deal in terms of trying to plug that hole. But you need a star.
You do.
You need a star. This roster's been, I think, to this point, well constructed as far as the supplemental pieces they've added this offseason via the portal, experience, supporting cast members, and you need someone there that's a proven star at the high major level. Terrence Shannon Jr. is that. You guys laid it all out. Your 2 biggest wins last year. Shannon outscored Texas by himself in overtime, and then he scored nearly 30 points against UCLA and hit 8 threes. Wow. And that was 2 top 10 wins, the difference between going to the tournament and not being anywhere close. So I think he's number 1.
Well said.
Point guard number 2 because of just the importance of that position. And then Coleman, not to downplay his impact, 'cause like you guys laid out, length, defense, ability to take another step in his game. You do have Dane at the 5. I think that kind of just gives you that nice replacement. And you can also play Quincy Guerrier at the 4, Damask at the 4. I don't think you have a big scoring guard to replace Shannon. I don't think you have a legit point guard to replace
Fair enough.
Dennis at this point, and that's why the order is as it is.
Heartless. That's what we are towards Coleman. Thankfully, he's taking his nap, so we're in good shape.
He's going to post his graphic later tonight saying, because of the comments made on the drive, I will be staying in the NBA draft. 100%. Clearly, I'm not valued here.
With Kanye in the background of Heartless. All right, let's take a break. Matt Pauley, KMOX, talk some Cardinals at 4:20, but we'll continue on with Illinois chatter. We'll do it all next hour. We're back. It is The Drive. I promise.
Enjoy free yoga at Urbana Park District's Meadowbrook Park each Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. No experience needed. All are welcome. Bring comfortable clothes and your yoga mat or a towel. Instructors can modify the exercises to your experience level. Yoga is a great way to exercise and refresh the mind and soul. Make new friends or bring friends. Saturday mornings from 9 to 10 at Meadowbrook Park. Learn more at urbanaparks.org.
Horizon Hobbies RC Fest is coming to Eli Field in Monticello June 9th and 10th. This premier radio control air show will feature 150-mile-per-hour jets, helicopters, aerobatic classics, and even spectacular night flying displays.
See the Reminator Monster Truck Car Crush, Kingsling Mud Truck, and meet Ryan Anderson and other Monster Jam superstars.
Enjoy the hands-on family celebration at Eli Field in Monticello with the on-site hobby shop selling all sorts of amazing Horizon Hobby
You're
RC
listening to
products.
WXJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Short time ago, they needed a lot of help from Democrats after 29 Republicans voted against the rule for the bill. White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says the president believes the bill will pass the House and Senate.
It's going to be at his desk before June 5th, and he'll get to sign it on behalf of the American people, because this is incredibly important to make sure that we do not have a catastrophic situation on our hands as it relates to the economy.
The bill faces some bipartisan opposition. Some Democrats argue the president gave up too much in several provisions, including social programs, while some Republicans say the bill doesn't do enough to address spending and doesn't put a cap on debt.
I don't think it's as good as I would like, but if you look at the totality of the agreement, I think it should be supported.
Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell. The U.S. Treasury says its operating cash balance is down to less than $38 billion. Secretary Janet Yellen expects to not have enough money to cover the government's bills as of Monday, unless Congress acts. Former Vice President Mike Pence is expected to announce next week that he's running for president. Fox confirms Pence plans to make it official Wednesday in Iowa. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum are also expected to join the Republican field next week. The White House says it's up to Ukraine how to run its defense against Russia, but National Security Council spokesman John Kirby also repeats this.
We do not support attacks inside Russia.
This after drone attacks in Moscow that Russia blames on Ukraine while Ukraine denies responsibility. Meantime, the Pentagon preparing another aid package for Ukraine that includes drone munitions. America is listening to Fox News.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life, from carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between. You have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed, plus free home delivery when you add an adjustable base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Another state answers the Texas governor's call for help along the southern border.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin says he's sending 100 National Guard troops to Texas. Earlier this month, Governor Greg Abbott wrote a letter asking all governors to help him out, saying in the federal government's absence, we must band together to combat the border crisis. He cited authority under the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, which allows states to assist one another. Youngkin said in his announcement that the ongoing border crisis has turned every state into a border state. The governors of Florida, Nebraska, and Tennessee have also committed to sending personnel. The Border Patrol reports 6.4 million migrant apprehensions since October of 2020. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Thousands of residents remain evacuated along Canada's Atlantic coast as wildfires burn for a fourth day in Nova Scotia. An unprecedented string of fires that have caused widespread destruction, destroying an estimated 200 structures, including more than 150 homes. No deaths or injuries reported. Striking Hollywood writers get some celebrity support.
Ted Lasso stars and co-creators, including Jason Sudeikis, Brendan Hunt, and Hannah Waddingham, joining picket lines in Los Angeles County in support of the Writers Guild of America strike. Photographed outside the Warner Brothers studio lot Tuesday ahead of the Apple TV Plus show's season 3 finale, what showrunners have said is the end. Waddingham tweeting, on our final day as Richmond Greyhounds, there's nowhere else we could be. Thank you so much to our magnificent writers' room. We'd be nothing without you. The Writers Union failing to reach a new bargaining agreement with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Fans of the Emmy-winning series bidding it farewell, tweeting the hashtag Believe. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Wall Street stocks finished lower, the Dow dropping 134 points, the Nasdaq down 82, the S&P slipping 25. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny.
Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, R.J. Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over!
I didn't come here to go 5-7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now.
I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Schmack Dogs. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever. Maybe you're just getting up to go to work. I don't know. It is The Drive with Tay and Piper. I'm Lod Tay. Derek Piper is to my left. Kyle Tosk to my right. And Kyle's nervous right now because the Cubs are down a run.
I already know what's going to happen.
They have first and second. Oh.
That's going to be 2.
Oh, he threw it away.
They didn't get him. Oh, my.
Oh.
Just giving him another chance to screw it up.
Hard hit ground ball to third, which could have been a double play by Patrick Wisdom, but the third baseman pulled the second baseman off the bag, so now everybody is safe. Bases loaded, 1 out, Cubbies down 4-3.
They had first and third, 1 out in the 8th, down 1. Didn't score any runs. Now they're loaded with 1 out in the 9th, down 1. Let's see how they screw this.
He may have still had his foot on that bag, and I think that's what they're checking here to see if maybe they registered 1 out because it looks like it's close. It's close as to whether or not. So I'll let Kyle keep us in tune with that.
Kyle, you guys just beat McClanahan last night.
I know.
Shouldn't you be happy?
They got swept by the Reds this weekend. Justin Steele
left
bad? Today's start with an injury.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Forearm stiffness.
I'm really not going to celebrate 2-3.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, listen, if you sweep the best record team
they can
in
pull
baseball,
this comeback off, my mood will change.
Okay, I was going to say, that's pretty stinking impressive. The Cardinals, as mentioned in the first hour, have a day off today and a day off tomorrow. And it's scheduled. 2 days off, back-to-back. So except for the All-Star break, I've never seen that in Major League Baseball. And then I mentioned to you, I saw on Twitter that later this year in August, they actually have a Sunday scheduled off. So strange stuff this year with the schedule, no doubt. But Matt Pauley from KMOX, he does the pre and post on the Cardinals games and also the Sports Open Line there. He took Kevin Wheeler's gig when Kevin decided to get a regular job. I told Matt, I said, we bothered Kevin Wheeler so much that he literally shifted his schedule to where he couldn't come on with us. But I give Kevin credit. He's the one that set this up with Matt. But we'll have Matt on this afternoon at about 4:20 to talk to him and get some Cardinals and get some NL Central in general chat with Matt Pauley. He actually spent about 6 years with the Milwaukee Brewers doing some stuff with the Brewers. So he obviously knows, I guarantee he knows a lot about the Brewers and the Cubs and the Cardinals. So we'll get his take on the NL Central in general and also about the Cardinals as we go along. All right, so we'll talk some baseball. We're right back to where we were now on the basketball. So if you're just joining us, weren't here last hour, nothing official has been announced of Coleman Hawkins, Terrence Shannon, or Ray J. Dennis.
Here's what you missed, everyone.
Yeah.
Nothing.
If we had the cricket sound. Ray J. does not have to make a decision today.
He does not, no.
But Coleman and Terrence have to make a decision today as to whether they're staying in the draft or they're coming back to college. I guess the one piece of good news is they didn't enter the portal. So if they come back to college, they're coming back to the University of Illinois. Now, Ray J. Dennis might very well be waiting to see what happens with those two. That could be something that he sits there and thinks, you know what? Why don't I wait to see if they're coming back? And then I can kind of play Illinois against Baylor as to, did Flagler come back? Did Coleman come back? I mean, he could be doing that right now.
I think he absolutely is doing that. Adam Flagler, very important decision. When he played point guard this past year at Baylor, if he were to return, that affects the situation as he sees himself as someone that needs to come in, have the ball in his hands. Sure. Flagler would want to go back to Waco if he does and still be that point guard and try to prove himself more for the next level. The expectation right now, Terrence back, Flagler stays in the draft, and Coleman's up in the air.
Okay.
Oh, breaking news, Jeff Goodman.
Here we go.
Adam Flagler is staying in the draft.
Oh, it wasn't a Illini guy. Okay, so Flagler is staying in the draft, which isn't good news for Illinois, maybe.
Illini fans should be rooting, and now it's over, but that Flagler would have went back to Baylor because that opened things up for Ray J there.
This is going to go from we think we're going to get all three to where nothing good's going to happen. Nothing good's going to happen.
I'd be surprised if Terrence doesn't come back. That should be happening, and I'm a little surprised. Not that it should be something you worry about. And we talked about this a little bit off the air. We can kind of fill some people in. I think Terrence is coming back.
Okay.
It's a little surprising that the word isn't out there yet. Then again, he doesn't have to put it out until the deadline tonight. And as I told you guys off the air, and we talked about it a little bit, I think a lot of people in that second round type of area are trying to wait as long as they possibly can to see if anything changes. Like, does the team at the last minute come in and say, you know what, before you go back to school, we will give you that promise, or say it's likely that we would take you here, or they're trying to, as much as they can, tap into these different teams and with their agent and everything to get the most up-to-date feedback. Maybe there's a guy who was supposed to stay in the draft that goes back to school, and that shifts the draft board for a certain team. So
makes sense.
I think that plays into some guys wanting to wait it out. Some might just be putting together a cool video to release on Twitter later.
Exactly.
Or some might be taking a nap like Coleman Hawkins says he's doing. So I don't know. And we're just sitting here waiting it out.
Well, here's what we're going to do. I know Kyle had mentioned about talking about some of the guys that have stayed in the draft, et cetera. Later this hour, we'll get to that before we get out of here. But we are, and I was worried about this when I scheduled Matt for today because I didn't know exactly when to do it, and wondering, like, we'll get Matt Pauley on at 4:20 to talk Cardinals, and at 4:21 Coleman Hawkins releases a statement and Terrence Shannon releases a statement. We'll be like, oh, great. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen in terms of that, but we'll get back to the discussion at hand with basketball after we talk to Matt Pauley and talk some Cardinals with him. I want to get an update from Kyle, who has a smile on his face, but it's kind of that sarcastic.
It is.
Sarcastic smile. Who struck out?
Miles Mastroboni struck out.
Who is that? Is he like a?
That's why.
Does he lead the Chicago choir? Like it sounds like
because he's not.
Sounds like a maestro name.
Leon Gomes is up 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded.
Oh, and he rips it to left field, and that is
caught. What a joke!
I love the I mean, listen, here's what's funny. I would be saying the same thing.
We can't have the Cubs on while I'm here. That's
I know.
not a good combination.
It's not,
I just say stuff.
It's not easy. I remember an Illinois game was on one time, and I'm like, I can't do this. Turn it off or turn it away from me because I'm going to start saying words that the FCC is going to fine me for and Stevie J is going to fire me for. And I know you weren't close to that, but it's frustrating, right?
I don't know. I heard something. Did you guys hear it?
You know what? We got to go back and check the tape to see what was said by Kyle. But
I appreciate some of the personality. Not that he doesn't have it otherwise, but just it kind of pulls back a little bit of a layer to Kyle's frustration. And
it's so weird how this is baseball to a T. You just beat Tampa 2 out of 3. Like, if I would have told you at 2 weeks ago, you guys are going to take 2 or 3 from Tampa, you would have been like,
oh, yeah.
Really? But now, because of the way this game ended.
Oh, yeah, they blew a lead.
And you strand, 5 guys in the last 2 innings? 5
guys in the last 2 innings.
So because of all of that, plus
swept by the
Steele
Reds this
getting
weekend.
hurt. Right. Baseball is a cruel, cruel friend. I'll put it that way. I mean, Jeremy Warner was always the one that said, it's kind of like your best friend. It's on every day. Like it's with you every day almost. And so you kind of know it's there. It's kind of like that, hey, I'm going to go outside and mow, but I know the Cardinal game's going and it'll be the 4th inning when I get back in. I mean, it's just one of those. But, man, can it bring you to some low depths and take you to some high mountain tops? If that makes sense. That's kind of weird, actually. All right.
Put it in a Hallmark.
And sell it now for $585 or so. I bought a graduation card for my nephew. I was like, holy crap, I'm spending more on the card than I did the check. That's not true. I didn't. He made out on that. All right.
Could just buy you a 6-pack for almost the same price.
Real quick, Trent asked, did I miss something on Sincere Harris? Won't he play point next year? I don't know that he's your true point. You still need a point.
Yeah, he's not a true point guard. Played with the ball in his hands a decent amount in high school. I think he's capable to develop that in his game. Like he's got the ability to handle some. I just think he goes 100 miles an hour.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the issue with him. But if things slow down and he can work on that aspect, we saw him bring the ball up some this past year when you had Jaden Epps hurt and Sky had already left. And
he was great in transition.
He could push it up and get you into offense for sure. And I think that we've talked about going to the rim. I think he can improve there with more strength, just kind of having that natural progression of the game slows down. But I don't know. Ideally, he's not someone that's playing the lead guard role this year. Can he be an option? Can that be something he progresses on through his career? I think it's possible. But this year, I think you would hope that he's not needed in that position. I think that Ty Rodgers is further progressed in that he can make reads and play with a little bit more composure and that type of thing. I'm still, even if you get Ray J. Dennis.
You love having Sincere, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because he's a 94-foot
no doubt
defensive menace who I think has shown his athleticism.
He changed games as much as anybody last year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like just him coming in the game.
Early second half UCLA.
Yeah.
What he did on Marcus Carr in the Texas game.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he's
a vital piece.
Big time. Let's take a break. Come back. Tapman's Towing phone line. We'll have Matt Pauley from KMOX. Talk to him about not only the Cardinals, but also the NL Central in general and some of these weird scheduling off days. I want to ask him about that. We'll ask him if he knows anything about Terrence Shannon and Coleman Hawkins and their decisions. Might as well. We'll search the globe to give you answers here on The Drive. We're back.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
When you know you've got a problem and something's bugging you, call on American Pest Control and take control. You be wise, Americanized. Call on American Pest Control. That's how you get back in control. Call Call American Pest Control. American Pest Control. No more bugs to bug you. Take control.
Kids may love bugs, but we don't. It's time now for a no-obligation termite inspection. American Pest Control has now installed the Centricon Termite Colony Elimination System to over 6,000 homes right here in central Illinois. The Centricon system provides complete colony elimination. Make sure your home is protected. Get their home before they get yours.
Call American Pest Control. American Pest Control. No more bugs to bug you. Take control.
This is Eric Boland with Provident Financial Group. Unfortunately, there is no one-size-fits-all retirement plan. Finding the right plan for you depends on many factors. The good news is we can help improve your retirement readiness, whatever your situation. Contact us today at 217-366-3456 or find us online at providentfinancialgroupllc.com.
Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Are you having problems with slow backing up drains? Give Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing a call today to bring out our underground camera and high-pressure jetter for all those pesky sewer problems. If you are tired of those high utility bills, Dogtown also has a super high-efficiency Rinnai tankless water heaters available as well. The Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing team is here for you if you need a repair or simply want to avoid costly repairs down the road. Call us for details at 217-841-4728. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Hey Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, Derek Piper. Not on the basketball front because I don't want to freak people out when I say this, but we have breaking news from Kyle. Kyle has just made the announcement that the Cubs are the worst team hitting with runners in scoring position ever.
Sure feels that way.
Like, I mean, talking baseball has been around a long time, Kyle. But
this team tops it all.
Historically, forget the Hack Wilson and his 190 ribbies and, you know, Ryan Sandberg doing his thing and Kyle Schwarber and Rizzo and yeah, just ever. This is it. This team.
What a historical day.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just think if Terrence Shannon, Coleman Hawkins, and Ray J. Dennis all say yeah to Illinois. I don't know that I can handle that much history in one day. That much breaking news excitement. We are literally just waiting for Derek Piper to every time he looks at his phone, Kyle, I'm like, oh, here it comes. So we'll wait to hear. But right now, we're going to take a break from what would this be, about a 400-hour marathon of talking who's going to come back to Illinois to play basketball.
Yep.
We're going to be joined right now on the Tapman's Towing phone line by Matt Polly, KMOX. He's the host of Sports Open Line. He does the pregame and the postgame of Cardinals baseball. You've heard him right here. Now a chance to get a little bit more out of Matt. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Lon. Derek, thanks for having me.
Yeah, any news on Ray J. Dennis, Coleman Hawkins, or Terrence Shannon down in the St. Louis area? Have you heard anything?
I have not heard anything. I'm hoping for the best. I'm a Brad Underwood guy. I'm a K-State guy, so we share an alma mater, and he's been really good to me in terms of coming on here on our show in St. Louis. So whatever good can happen there, I'm all in on.
I love it. I was reading a story that Dan Caesar had done with you, I think in 22, when you joined KMOX. If I have my dates wrong, I apologize. I read that you went to Kansas State, and then, of course, you spent 6 years in Milwaukee, I believe, with kind of doing a radio thing similar to what you're doing in St. Louis with the Brewers. So before we get you off here, I want to pick your brain on the NL Central in general, because Kyle is over here just, saying historic things about his Cubbies. But was that kind of your path? I know getting to where you've wanted to be because you grew up in St. Louis at the Mighty Mocs. I know this is a job that certainly you coveted.
Yeah, absolutely. I did 10 years of minor league baseball play-by-play, and then I eventually got to AAA, did 6 years at AAA,
wow.
Which I finished off for the Brewers AAA team, and that led me to Milwaukee. That was my connection there, and then did 6 years doing Brewers Post. And when this thing came open in St. Louis, I've never gone for and wanted a job as hard as I did last year, and it's certainly been a blessing to be able to return to St. Louis.
Well, it is fun listening to you because I definitely tune in to as much Cardinal information as I can get, and I enjoy hearing what you do on the pre and the post, and obviously on the Sports Open Line, you do a wonderful job with that, and obviously that is a job that a lot of us understand in the business is one of the best that's ever been because that thing has had some historic people doing it. So to definitely take those reins, congratulations to you on that. I want to start with this before we bring Pipes in. 2 days off in a row. Now, I've never seen that. I'm 52, drink. I've never seen that. And then later this season, they actually have a Sunday off, which is very, very strange. And I know I've never seen that, minus, something crazy like 9/11 or something like that. But it's just a weird scheduling, play 19 in a row, and now they take 2 days off. That's strange.
Yeah, so the reason for that, this one, there's more of an easy reason to explain. They were not scheduled to play on Memorial Day. They were scheduled, the Kansas City series was originally scheduled to go Tuesday, Wednesday, and they were going to have Monday and Thursday off. And the Cardinals looked at that and said, are you kidding me? Why wouldn't we play on Memorial Day?
Oh.
And there were 8 teams in Major League Baseball that did not play on Memorial Day this year, which is insane. And the Cardinals aren't going to play on Labor Day later on this year, which doesn't make any sense either. So the Cardinals petitioned Major League Baseball. They got that moved up. And because it got moved up, that's what resulted in the very weird back-to-back days off.
Well said. I did not know that. Okay.
Matt, as you look at this,
the Sunday thing, I think baseball's trying to figure out. The schedule's different this year with you playing everybody,
right?
And not as many divisional. I think they're still just kind of navigating through these muddy waters of what the schedule's going to look like, and we're getting some really weird things like having a Sunday off, which makes no sense.
Not at all.
Matt, what have you made of the Cardinals' first couple of months through the season? At one point, 10-24. They've, of course, improved that position, but still 25-32, sitting there tied with the Cubs for last. Kyle's Cubs over there in the NL Central. There have been some encouraging signs, like Michaelis has been a lot better of late, and some other guys that have started to heat up with the bats, but then you're still waiting for that run really to make a push on the Brewers. What do you think so far of where the Cardinals stand?
Yeah, I really evaluate them from the 10-24 point on. They had a horrendous start to the season. That goes without saying. That record tells you everything you need to know about it. And they put themselves in quite a hole. Now, they knocked 5 games off of their deficit in less than 2 weeks, which is absolutely unheard of. I think they're fine. They're sitting there 4.5 games back in a horrendous division. I think at some point the first-place team in this division is probably going to be under 500. And I'm not sure. I think the Cardinals finish above 500 and win the division, and I'm not sure if there's another team in the division that finishes above 500. They're very lucky to be where they're at. To put this in perspective, you look at the AL East. Boston is 28-26. They are in last place in the AL East, 10 games back. The Brewers have that exact same record, 28-26. And they're a first-place team in the NL.
Oh, my goodness.
Was it hard to keep your sanity going through that Contreras deal? With you got the open line, you got a radio show, you got a lot of people revved up, and it's kind of died down a little bit here of late. Is all well in that circle? The Kumbayas have been sung, and Flaherty's getting caught by Contreras every time. Are we good there?
I think so. You never know what's going to happen moving forward. If they go into another tailspin, maybe they try to find a way to put some excuses somewhere where they don't need to put it. But I was frustrated by that situation because Wilson Contreras was the guy that he has always been, and that's who they signed. And I don't think there was always going to be a drop-off from Yadier Molina. He's not Molina. He does things differently. He's not going to carry a pitching staff the way Yadier Molina did, and that's who he was. If you would have signed him and his career would have looked one way, and then he came into St. Louis and all of a sudden he was a completely different guy, then those type of things kind of make sense. But that didn't happen. He was the guy that he's always been. I think the team was just in a really bad spot. Pitchers were unhappy with the way things were going. They found kind of a scapegoat in there, and then they worked through the situation. The credit goes to Contreras.
I agree.
For a guy who's won a World Series, for a guy who has been a starting catcher in the All-Star game, he would have had every reason to kind of blow up and not handle that situation well. And he was just a beacon of professionalism, and I think the way he handled it allowed the situation to move by pretty quickly.
Matt Pauley is our guest. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Pauley on air. Sports Open Line for KMOX, also Cardinals Radio Network host. Nolan Gorman has been phenomenal. 13 home runs, leads the team, 272 average. And Lana and I have talked about you had different names get thrown out there last year at the deadline, part of a potential Juan Soto package. I'm sure glad that Nolan Gorman wasn't one of those that was thrown in there and made in a deal like that. What have you made of his season, and is this the coming out party, and where do you think it goes from here?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is real. I'm one of those guys that kind of pumps the brake. I like to see track record. I like to see year-over-year results. But the bottom line on Gorman is he's been a top-level prospect through his entire run through the minor league system. What happened last year at the big league level had basically happened to him at every level when he would advance. He would hit a bit of a wall, and then he would find his way to break through it. The Cardinals gave him very specific instructions on things that they wanted him to get better at during the offseason, and he took that to heart and put a ton of work in, and he came back. And when you think about the run-producing group for the Cardinals, the first three names that always come to your mind are Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Contreras.
Sure.
I think we could put Gorman in that group as well, and I think that's real. I like the fact that he's getting more of an opportunity against left-handed pitchers. If you're going to be a middle-of-the-order, top-level offensive player, you got to play just about every single day, and he's been able to do that recently. The high pitches aren't bothering him as much. Left-handers aren't bothering him as much. He's able to take bad days and kind of put them in the rearview mirror. That being said, he, like pretty much the entire team, because they were hitting like under 170, I think, in their last 6 games going into yesterday, he, like a lot of other guys, struggling a little bit. He only has 1 hit over his last 5 games. But yesterday he got the sac fly when they needed it, and that turned into the game-winning run. So even when you're not hitting, when you find ways to impact a game like you did yesterday, I think that's a good sign for who he is.
That's huge. Great information. All right, Matt, when it comes to Canadians, I'm a fan. I've been wanting a Canadian basketball player on Illinois for a long time. They've got it now with Quincy Guerrier. I have been to Canada 4 to 5 times fishing. It's unbelievable. I think their national anthem rocks with the O Canada right off the start. And Ryan O'Reilly was the Canadian that helped bring my Blues a Stanley Cup championship. But I'm really frustrated with Tyler O'Neill and the fact that he can't stay healthy. Where are we at with this? I mean, they're basically saying it's kind of in standby now, and here Jordan Walker, I know a lot of us are pining for him to get back up because he's starting to put numbers together that they wanted to see. So I don't know. I mean, I know that's one of those deals like there has to be an Arozarena hiccup in there. There has to be, who's the other gentleman that's bombing home runs now?
Adolis Garcia.
That's it, Garcia. So I know that I'm sure Mozeliak and Gersh and these guys are like, oh, man, as soon as we get rid of O'Neill, he's going to go on to hit 40 home runs and be that MVP guy again. But how long do we need to sit here and struggle with Tyler O'Neill trying to stay healthy?
Well, first off, shame on you for not mentioning Tim Hortons when you were singing the praises of Canada.
Yep, my bad.
Yep, all right, just want to get that out of the way. But more seriously, I can't tell you how disappointed I am. I am a Tyler O'Neill guy. I spent the off season talking about how O'Neill was going to be that middle-of-the-order presence, kind of what I just said about Nolan Gorman. I 100% believed in these changes he was making to his off-season regimen, the more flexibility, doing everything with an eye on trying to stay healthy. And then we get into this season, he doesn't do much from an offensive standpoint, and now he's injured again. And not only is he injured, if you just get injured, like the injuries happen. I'm not going to get mad at a guy for getting injured. What's frustrating in this is he gets injured and he's not healing.
Right.
When he first got injured, we were given the indication that this was going to be possibly a minimum stint on the IL kind of deal, and now they're in a complete holding pattern, and he's not doing any baseball activities, and there's no end in sight. And to me, what that says is this is just simply a guy you can't count on to stay healthy.
Amen.
If this is who he is, you can't count on him to stay healthy. If somehow, some way he does start staying healthy and he finds his offensive form from a couple years ago, then that's great.
Right.
But when you think about the way this team is constructed right now, probably the outfield group that gives you the best chance to win is some version of Lars Nootbaar, Tommy Edman, and Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
And Edman and Donovan aren't even outfielders, and those are the guys that you want to put out there right now. And eventually Dylan Carlson's going to be back. Eventually Tyler O'Neill's going to be back. You mentioned Jordan Walker. He's clearly going to be part of this team, I think, sooner than later once he kind of puts some more things together at AAA. I don't know if you can't rely on Tyler O'Neill, then all of a sudden it almost doesn't matter what he does from an offensive standpoint, because at any moment, if he's not available to you, you're kind of back to square one.
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Matt, I'll admit, I can get...
Do you like Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I mean, I just want to
The Toronto Raptors have some of the best NBA jerseys ever created.
Good call.
So,
Good call.
Vince Carter.
True story. I crossed into Canada once from Detroit, and they ask you why you are coming to the country, and we wanted to eat Tim Hortons in Canada. There's a million Tim Hortons in Detroit. We crossed the border to eat at a Tim Hortons in Canada, and I had to explain that to the very nice agent as we crossed the border.
The agent's like, he's drunk. Let him through. That's fine. Let him through.
Matt, it's easy to gravitate. As a Cardinals fan, it's easy for me to gravitate to some of the fury on Twitter of blame the front office for this and get mad at Mozeliak for that. And the Walker stuff recently of his comments of some of the tweaks in his swing has led into some frustration and some of the struggles that he's had to be consistent in AAA. What do you think about all that? And you mentioned there we probably see Jordan Walker sooner than later. What do you think that path forward looks like for him? And what does need to change or just progress from Memphis back up to the big league club?
Yeah, so I think what he was doing was thinking too much in games. If you spend all your time before games working on not hitting ground balls, driving the ball, strike zone discipline, things like that, if you put a ton of work on that from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you find a way to just get that out of your mind and go play, that stuff eventually is going to be part of what you're doing on its own. The way I took what he was saying is that he was taking all these things that he's working on, and he was standing there in the batter's box as the game was going on, and the hit it in the air, all these things are going through his head, and he was just thinking too much.
Yes.
So I didn't make look. Twitter exploded with the comments he made, and everybody pulled. Oh, look at him! He's telling the front office to stick it and things like that. That's not how I took it. The way I took it was he's going to do his work. He's going to listen to the organization. He's going to put in all the work during the afternoon. But when it comes to his 3, 4, 5 at bats during the game, he's just going to kind of be who he is, and eventually it's all going to merge together and look the same. That's my very amateur take on what has happened here over the last 72 hours.
No, that makes sense. And listen, you're around this thing as much as anybody in terms of the call-in shows and in terms of everything, so we appreciate your opinion on that. Matt Pauley is our guest. Final question for Matt from KMOX. Again, follow him on Twitter, at Matt Pauley on air. Kind of take us through the NL Central. Obviously, it's not a very good division, but in a weird way, it's fun because we're all like kind of stacked up. It was kind of exciting to see the Pirates jump out and at least give their fan base a little bit of something to cheer for early this season. The Reds are kind of hanging tight for a little bit. You got the Cubbies, who historically now are the worst hitting team with runners in scoring position, according to Kyle. And then, of course, your Brewers, who are starting to get beat up a little bit. The stud out in center, the rookie that got injured. I'm old now, Matt, so I forget names, but boy, he started off well. But what is your take on this NL Central? And I mean, I know you mentioned the Cardinals could probably emerge and win this thing, but do you think there's a team that'll kind of maybe figure it out and run away with it, or do you think we're going to be a muddled mess all season?
I lean towards muddled mess because of the hole that the Cardinals put themselves in. I don't think much about these teams. I love for Pirates fans who have been through so much bad baseball, I was so happy for them that they got to experience a month of nice baseball. But realistically, when Brian Hayes went, Brian Hayes, when O'Neal Cruz went down, any chance of them sticking around, that went down with him. We know the Reds aren't good. They're not worth talking about. The Brewers are so injured right now. I don't think the Brewers are very good, but they are a really bad baseball team with all the injuries they have right now. They don't have Woodruff. They don't have a bunch of other young guys like you alluded to. They got like 12 guys. I was looking at a list yesterday. It's incredible the number of guys who are on the injured list and not available. They just have no shot right now. I actually think, it's funny because the Cardinals and the Cubs are the two last-place teams in the division. I think those are the two best teams in the division. The Cardinals are the best team. I liked what the Cubs did in the offseason. I don't know if they finish above 500, but I think the Cubs are like the least terrible of the rest of the bunch in the NL Central.
That's perfect. And in case Dan Hartleb, longtime Illinois baseball coach and huge Cincinnati Reds fan, is listening, can you say that again about the Reds and what you had mentioned?
They're not worth even mentioning.
Yes! I'm sure I'll get a text later maybe from Coach Hartleb. Someone will reach out to him and say, hey, they're ripping on your Reds. Matt Pauley, this has been fun. I've enjoyed following you in St. Louis. Admittedly, had not followed you before, but certainly enjoying your stuff with not only Sports Open Line, but with the Cardinals in general. Congrats on making it back to St. Louis. I know I saw a picture of your family today. Your daughter is beautiful. It's awesome. I'm happy for you to be in a great place down there, and give Kevin Wheeler as much hell as possible, and Claves and the rest of them if you can.
I will absolutely do that. Fellas, this was a lot of fun. Call anytime. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, buddy. Great stuff. Matt Pauley, KMOX, and again, pre- and post-game on the Cardinals Network, and, of course, Sports Open Line on KMOX, which you hear not nightly because there's a lot of baseball games, but probably tonight and tomorrow. I should have asked him who he's got on the show tonight for that. So good stuff with Matt. I mean, he really breaks that stuff down and does a great job with it. The Jordan Walker stuff, I mean, I don't. Where are you at on? Okay, so is it fair? Let me do this, and then we'll take a break because I don't want to tease Cardinals and then something happen with one of the Illini guys, and we come back and don't do it. I do that way too often.
You're probably safe.
Okay, I'm probably safe.
Sure that we're probably not going to have.
Coleman's 2 hours into a 7-hour nap. Mm-hmm. Terrence is obviously still waiting to hear from Orlando, and then Ray J is golfing in Oswego. Or something. I mean, we don't know what's going on. I mean, yeah, it could be. So when it comes to the Cardinals and Tyler O'Neill, is there a little bit in your mind? Okay, let me ask you this. Do you fear the Arozarena happening with Tyler O'Neill if the Cardinals get rid of him? And not only do you fear that, is that fair to hold back on something and not do? I'm not saying the Cardinals even want to trade Tyler O'Neill. But at some point, what are you getting out of him? So is that...
I just don't know what his value is.
Well, that's the thing.
Either.
That's a great point. I think if I were a team like the Pirates or like... I'm just trying to... Maybe that's not a good example. If I were a team that needed, that just basically, let's say, didn't win at a high level and just wanted to take the chance that this kid turns into... I mean, let's be honest. If O'Neill would stay healthy for 162, I mean, he already finished, 8th in the MVP voting one year or wherever he finished. I mean, he's got the ability to hit 40 home runs. He's got the ability to steal 20 bases. He won a Gold Glove. I mean, his ceiling can be ridiculous. And if I were a team out there that was just kind of, let's take a chance, and maybe we get the next MVP of our league. But if I were a team that was counting on a player down the stretch and you needed him to win games, I don't know that I'm making that deal for Tyler O'Neill. Does any of that make sense, what I just said?
Yes, and you were correct. 8th in the MVP voting, back-to-back Gold Gloves, 2020, 2021. 2021 was the year that he was in the MVP mix at least, 34 home runs, 80 RBIs, and batted about 290. So since then, he was a 230 hitter last year in 96 games, 230 hitter in about 29 games this year. So just the inability to stay healthy. And part of that is obviously played into the fact that he doesn't go all out anymore, or he hadn't been. I mean, that's what got him under fire with Oli Marmol, because he was kind of conserving himself and not trying to get hurt, which the ironic part is by not hustling, then he gets called out publicly and you got that whole ordeal, and then he gets hurt anyway.
Yeah.
So that part is frustrating.
And it's a different injury each time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. In other words, at least it's not his knee again. I mean, now it is. And it's like the guy, I don't know. I try not to go down this path, but he is so big, muscular-wise, that you wonder, are you more capable of breaking down? Like, my muscles aren't even developed, so they can't break down. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's credibility in that at all, in terms of the fact that he's just so absolutely shredded that it just seems like one muscle or the next one's. I said earlier this year, the next thing you know, he'll tear an oblique.
Yeah, I mean, he's only had one season where he's played 100 games or more.
Wow.
I mean, he's been on your big league club for 6 years.
Has he really?
Now, I think some of that was maybe coming up and playing some. 2018 played 61, 2019 60, wow. 2020 shortened season played 50, and you had 138, 96, and 29. There's been enough of opportunities to have Tyler O'Neill show that he's reliable, both in production and being healthy enough. And I think we're beyond that point. I'm fine.
That's fair.
Is there a little bit of a fear that he stays healthy and he has the type of season he had in 2021 for somebody else, or maybe even better? Yeah, but Randy Arozarena was, in hindsight, not giving him enough opportunity.
Never got a chance.
Never got enough of a chance to stick with the team in a situation where you had just such an underwhelming outfield, which you have once again. So that would burn you if another situation, another Adolis Garcia and Arozarena, and then O'Neill's with whoever and doing his thing and being a top-notch all-star level player like those other two, that would really sting until you figure this thing out in the outfield. Like the fact that we're at Tommy Edman and Brennan Donovan in the outfield is
kudos
ridiculous.
to those guys for being able to do it. But yeah, I mean, this all started back with Piscotty and Grichuk, and it has been a 10-year run of trying to find outfielders. That's why, listen, I am sold on Lars. All right, I wasn't coming into this year, but I like what he gives you. I like his defense. He takes walks. His on-base is decent. Does he go through an 0 for 20? Yes. That's not good. But I'm almost to the point now where I'm ready just to anoint him the center fielder for the next 5 years, bring Jordan Walker up, and at least then 2/3 of your outfield is set for the next 10 years, or next 5 years, let's say. And then figure out who your other, I mean, if it's Carlson, it's not O'Neill. So I think it is high time for the Cardinals to go out either at a trade deadline or in the free agent process of the offseason and get a known brand for an outfielder. They've passed on so many guys through the years. It's time to get that guy. Get that guy that you know has a track record of doing it right. And it's not Mercado. I know he had a cool game out of the 9-hole and had 5 ribbies. It's not him. I don't even know if it's Lars, to be honest with you, but just go get...
It's not Burleson. It's not some of these other guys.
It's just not. It's just, I'm so down on just trying to find, Randall Grichuk's got, hey, Piscotty's got some...
Hey, we finally got Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, and then he just...
Here's Marcell Ozuna.
And I guess, as bad as that trade went, I do give him credit for at least going out and getting that guy, right? I mean,
right.
So I guess that's kind of what I want, although please don't give up 2 Cy Young winners the next time you do it. I don't know. It's so frustrating. Every night it's just different outfielders. And
Dylan Carlson's untouchable. Why?
Yeah, and now he's hurt. Unbelievable. But the Cubs are the worst team.
Can Reggie Sanders still play?
Reggie Sanders was solid. Brian Jordan,
yeah.
Brian Jordan, Reggie Sanders, Ray Lankford.
Ronnie
Gant. Ray. I used to give Ray a lot of hell. But that guy never got my full 100% backing, and it was so unfair to Ray Lankford. Ray Lankford was the perfect example of your best player when you were bad. And so the best player takes all the grief. But Ray Lankford put up some really good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't he still have the most home runs in Busch too? Maybe.
Look it up.
Maybe not. Maybe Pujols. Maybe he passed him on that. But I know for a while Ray Lankford, I think, had that. But, yeah, I mean, gosh, how about the days of Vince Coleman and Lonnie Smith and Andy Van Slyke, George Hendrick? Well, he was first. Well, he played right, didn't he, a little bit? David Green back in the day. Jimmy Edmonds. Man, I still watch a center fielder try to make catches, and I'm like, I don't care what you think of Jim Edmonds and his announcing style, which I understand is. And I don't care what you think of his personal life, which he's had an interesting one. That dude could rake, and he could go back on a baseball as well as anybody I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I didn't get to see Willie Mays. But he could go back on a baseball. I mean, he absolutely took away singles and yet would still make it back to rob somebody of a home run. Jim Edmonds was incredible.
He really was.
To the point where I think he should be a Hall of Famer. But I think a lot of people would argue that. And you'd probably have a great leg to stand on that he shouldn't be. But his defense was incredible. Incredible. All right.
The Cardinals need to find, even if it's another just placeholder for a year or two. They did it with Larry Walker.
Yeah.
1 year. They brought in Lance Berkman for a few. Carlos Beltran.
Will Clark, Carlos Beltran. Yeah, but you're going more outfield. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Will Clark doesn't fit in that. But, yeah, no, you're right. Man, what a run. Beltran, Berkman. Who was the other dude?
Larry Walker, early 2000s.
Walker. Do you know how many times I'd watch a Cardinals-Rockies game and it's like, all right, what is Bichette, Galarraga, and Walker going to do to us tonight? Oh, my Lord. You'd look at it the next day, the box score was Walker 3 for 4 with a homer, Galarraga 4 for 4, 6 ribbies, and Bichette 2 for 4 with two bombs.
Yep.
And Walt Weiss was on base for all of them.
You know that line up and down.
That's how, literally, it's ingrained in my head how bad it was. I mean, I can remember a game.
They could slug.
I lived in Sullivan. I can remember, this is so weird. I remember I was in our bedroom, like, I think I was like spring cleaning or something, listening to Joe Buck do Cardinals baseball at Colorado, and I think we lost like 13-1. And I just went on an absolute tirade. It was only Griff and I in the house, and my dog literally was hiding underneath the couch. I was like, and it was all because of Galarraga, Walker, and Bichette, and then Walt Weiss would dump a double down the in the left center, and you're like, oh, really?
Did Mike Hampton hit a home run that night too?
He was a good hitter for him.
He could hit.
Todd Hundley, was he on those teams? Some of them. Was he the quarterback at Tennessee?
I think so.
Is that who I'm thinking of? I think he was the quarterback at Tennessee. I mean, okay, how much of a stud are you if you're a quarterback at Tennessee and you go on to play Major League Baseball? You think you're having any issues? I'm taking a break. It's The Drive.
Crisis Nursery is prepping for the summer month, which includes the end of the fiscal year. Their goal is to raise $100,000 by June 30th to support the 24/7 Safe Children program. Thanks to the generosity of donors to date, the nursery has served hundreds of families and provided thousands of hours of care to children at risk of abuse or neglect. Here are some examples of how your donations have impacted the community. A single mother giving birth in the hospital had no support to help care for her 3 children. The nursery provided 48 consistent hours of care. A mom fleeing domestic violence moved to Champaign to start over and provide a better life for her and her children. The nursery provided care while mom worked with a family specialist on getting basic needs met. Would you consider making a gift to support families with these types of emergencies in Champaign County? If you've already made your annual gift, thank you. Would you consider increasing your support by 10%? If you have not made your annual gift, would you consider renewing your support? If you have never made a gift and love our mission, would you consider making your first donation? For more information, visit crisisnursery.net.
Doing it yourself gets a whole lot easier when you rent the right tools and equipment from Paxton Hardware and Rental. Whether you're a weekend fixer-upper or a professional contractor, they have just what you need to get the job done right the first time at Paxton Hardware and Rental. From lawn aerators to tillers to pressure washers and floor sanders, you'll find the tools for project success. Need project advice? Just ask one of the in-store experts. Need bouncy houses for less? It's Paxton Hardware and Rental on Market Street in downtown Paxton.
If you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or van, look no further than Sarah Champagne. You know them for their 5 incredible vehicle brands, the BMW, Honda, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. But did you know they also have over 100 used cars, trucks, and vans in stock right now? And at Sarah Champagne, they will take care of you. You can trust them. And prices begin at under $2,000. Stop by Sarah Champagne. They're Burwash and Savoy, or go online, sarahchampagne.com. That's Sarah, S-E-R-R-A, champagne.com.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
Jets is hiring. Call 217-352-9992 or stop into 1907 West Springfield Avenue near Round Barn in Champaign. Jets is open till 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays till midnight. Are you looking for a side hustle? Here's Josh from Jets talking about the benefits of doing deliveries.
When I was a delivery driver, it was amazing how much the actual amount of money I had just shot right up. You have money in your pocket every single day.
For details on joining the team, visit jetspizza.com.
Hello, golfers! The Special Olympics Illinois Region I Golf Outing is Friday, August 4th, and we want you to join us. Registration and lunch is at 11 a.m. Shotgun start is at noon. There's free Riggs beer throughout the event, golfer games out on the course led by athlete Emerson York. Appetizers from the Roadshow Catering and cash awards for team prizes are immediately following. For details, visit SOILL.org.
Join Cunningham Children's Home June 2nd and 3rd for the 19th Annual Festival of Quilts. It's a great event and you don't want to miss it. Whether in person or online, enjoy all the festival has to offer, including the quilt auction, the gift shop and boutique, home decor, bake sale, campus tours, and more. Proceeds from the signature fundraiser will help us to meet the critical needs of the youth and families Cunningham served this year. That's the Festival of Quilts, June 2nd and 3rd. Visit cunninghamhome.org to learn more.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
All right, I could not wait to get back and correct all my errors. First of all, thank you to the U of I text line. They said, how can you leave out Willie McGee? I am so sorry. You're right. That was a huge error on my buddy Jason Watson also texted me, and we had just figured it out. Todd Helton is who I was thinking of, not Todd Hundley, whose father, Randy Hundley, was a Cubs announcer for a while. What did Hundley really do for him? Randy Hundley. What else did I screw up? Is that about it? I think that's it.
We'll call it there.
Harrison Bader, somebody said we had a good center fielder, but we traded him, and now he's out with a hamstring. Yeah, he was just part of the whole, it's
part of the cycle.
Exactly. Bader was just part of it.
Had a really nice postseason for the Yankees, though, last year.
He did. He really did. All right, any news?
No.
Okay.
Oscar Tshiebwe staying in the draft in terms of elsewhere.
And Flagler.
Flagler is staying in the draft as well.
I'm confident in saying that tomorrow we will have something to talk about.
Get it over with.
And I can't wait. It's either they're back or they're not, and then we're going to figure out what to do next. If they're back, I'm going to ask Piper, how does this work? How excited should I be? If they're not, who the hell are you going to go get?
Final predictions? Should we do that?
They're both back. That's my final prediction. But I'm always usually leaning that way. Kyle, music stopping.
I'm going to go with you. They're both back.
Okay. Derek, no music.
They're both back.
Hi, I'm Skylar Pumphrey from Greenview. Let me do the chores that you've been neglecting all summer.
You want to enjoy your outdoor space, not work in it? Let our team at Greenview make your landscaping dreams a reality. Custom fireplaces, patios, kitchens, pool decks, waterfalls, rainscapes, theme gardens, and anything else you can imagine. Make Greenview your call for all jobs, big or small. Call Greenview today at 217-586-1112 and give Lori a call. She'll get you set up with an appointment. Visit greenview.com.
Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford is more than just a steakhouse. Every Wednesday and Thursday nights, only at Long Branch, fresh country fried chicken, fresh country fried pork, both served with mashed potatoes and green beans. The kebabs are delicious, made with your choice of chicken, shrimp, beef, veggies, or surf and turf. All entrees come with a house salad and your choice of one of 2 sides. Wednesday and Thursday evenings starting at 5. And enjoy Long Branch Steakhouse in beautiful downtown Gifford.
The sounds of spring and the smell of flowers in the air, they all add up to Spring Green, America's neighborhood lawn care team. They become your favorite through quality service and professionalism. Spring Green will service and maintain your lawnscape with seeding, aeration, fertilizing, disease, and insect control. Over 32 years of satisfied customers reflect their commitment to Champaign-Urbana and the Mattoon-Charleston area. Call Spring Green at 217-359-2111 or online at spring-green.com. You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.